Coming up on American Medicine Today, the extreme left wants to give young children life-altering surgeries that would result in sterilization. Dr. Miriam Grossman joins us to discuss what parents can do to protect their families from such outrageous predators. Then, Joe suffered from degenerative disc disease, which caused immense pain and the loss of strength in his hands. After targeted procedures from the Bonati Spine Institute, he is happy to return to his active lifestyle pain-free. Finally, activist judges are blocking laws that are meant to protect children. Filmmaker and entrepreneur Ilan Srulovicz joins us to discuss the importance of enacting these laws as soon as possible, despite the total political bias of many socialist judges. What do you need to know to protect your children? Find out coming up on American Medicine Today.
Featuring cutting-edge science and medical innovation, touching personal stories of recovery from pain, along with political, social, and healthcare issues plaguing our nation. This is American Medicine Today, brought to you by the Bonati Spine Institute and Alfred Bonati, MD.
Welcome to American Medicine Today. I'm Kimberly Bonati, alongside Ethan Youker and world-renowned orthopedic surgeon, Dr. Alfred Bonati. So atrocities are taking place in hospital operating rooms across the country, where physically healthy children are being permanently disfigured and even sterilized in the name of transgenderism. Our next guest says it's total insanity, and quite frankly, we agree. Joining us to discuss is Dr. Miriam Grossman, author of Lost in Transnation, a child psychiatrist guide out of the madness. Thank you for joining us, Dr. Grossman.
It's great to be here, Kimberly. Thanks for having me.
Certainly. This is an important topic. So your books on sexuality and gender industry have been translated into 11 different languages. So what made you really want to focus on this specific area of psychiatry?
Well, Kimberly, I have been meeting these young people who are distressed about being boys and girls.
Yes.
And speaking with hundreds of parents over the past few years. And we are in a huge medical scandal right now in which little kids, are being led to believe that they could be born in the wrong body and that perhaps their bodies are mistakes. And then at some point when they're older, they come to their parents with the announcement that I am not your son, I'm your daughter. You need to call me by this new name, new pronouns. Take me to a gender clinic. I want my puberty to be blocked.
Right.
This is when it hits a family that is unprepared, like all families have been up to this point. This is a catastrophe. The parents just don't know how to respond. And usually what they do is contact either the pediatrician or go to a gender clinic. And what I'm explaining in my book, Lost in Transnation, and as you said, I'm a child and adolescent psychiatrist, but I am sad to have to report and to have to tell parents not to go to a gender-affirming clinic, not to go to their pediatrician, because those individuals are going to tell them to put their child in the driver's seat and to make the biggest decision of their lives. And that is to try and live and to appear as the opposite sex, which, as we all know, is impossible. Sex is established at conception. The moment that the sperm meets the egg establishes whether a child is going to be a boy or a girl. That is what kids are being led to believe, that it is just a random assignment and that they can deny their biology, and it all depends on how they're feeling at the moment. This is dangerous, and it leads to permanent disfigurement. It leads to sterility, and we don't even have evidence that shows in the long term it helps with mental health issues.
It doesn't. A lot of them end up committing suicide, and some get so ill from these procedures that they're getting infection and infections and more as time goes on, so much so that they're not even being able to meet their grandkids because they're afraid they're going to die from these terrible infections. But what I'm really curious about is that whole side talks about follow the science. And we are following the science. And the science is genetically saying you're male or female, and they're going against it.
Well, not only that, Kimberly, but the proponents of so-called gender-affirming care, which is an absolutely Orwellian term, because when you affirm their feelings, you're denying reality, you're denying biology. But what's important for parents to know, and I explain this at length in the book, there is no medical consensus. There is a fierce debate that's going on, an international debate. And even though we have people like Admiral Dr. Rachel Levine, who's standing up over and over again and telling parents in this country that there's a medical consensus that the best thing you can do for your gender questioning child is to affirm that and to put them on the road to medical interventions and surgery, there is no medical consensus, absolutely none. In fact, 21 experts in this area from 9 different countries wrote a letter to the Wall Street Journal last week, essentially saying to the doctors in the U.S., gender experts in the U.S., saying, what the heck are you doing to your kids there in the United States? We have no long-term evidence of benefit of these interventions. And they're saying that they have the science on their side. This is a scam, and I am warning parents in my book, Lost in Trans Nation, and the book is written not for psychiatrists, not for PhDs, but for regular parents who simply want to protect their children from this dangerous ideology. It's more like a religion than anything else. And you want to protect your children. You want to reach them early. And you want to tell them that they were boys and girls from the moment that they were created, 9 months before they were delivered in the delivery room, and that is something fixed, and whatever body they have is perfect and beautiful.
The fact that there's now transgender activists that are basically calling for parents to be reported to child services if they refuse to see their son as a daughter and vice versa. How can they possibly get away with this, one? And two, I mean, that's just a ridiculous thing to be reporting parents for.
It's the breakdown of the
They are. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry. They are. I want you to know they are getting away with it. And I tell numerous stories from different states in which that has happened. No family is immune. That's why I wrote the book. And I have appendices in the book written by lawyers who are experts in this field of parental rights. And they explain to parents how to protect their rights at schools, with social services, and in other situations where their constitutional right to direct the upbringing and the education of their child is being challenged. The schools have no right to do this, to socially transition their child without their knowledge, but the schools are doing it. It is a nightmare, but it can be prevented. I want to reach families before they get into this. The book will be very helpful to families that are currently dealing with this problem, but it is most helpful to families before they face this issue. There's all kinds of efforts now to prevent my book from getting out. In terms of Amazon, there are 14 fake, bogus books up on Amazon that are trying to copy my cover and my content. If they wish to buy the real book, they need to do it either by going to my website, which is miriamgrossmanmd.com, or go to my Twitter account, which is at Miriam_Twitter. And I have the links there to Amazon to buy the real, genuine book.
It's really sick, the agenda by this regime to break down the family and to make them think that others know better than the parents that love them so much and brought them into this world. Thank you for being on the program to talk about transgenderism and why it is so dangerous for our youth. Thank you, Dr. Miriam Grossman, for being on the program.
Thank you so much for having me.
Make sure you stay tuned. Coming up after the break, a story of recovery. Don't be screwed by lesser spine institutes who bait you with minimally invasive procedures, then switch to screws, rods, disc replacements, and hardware. At Bonati, no metal hardware fusions are ever used. Bonati invented the precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonati Spine Procedures, they consistently reflect 98.75% patient satisfaction. Over half our patients have suffered from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonati succeeds where others fail. Welcome to American Medicine Today. I'm Kimberly Bonati, and I'm being joined by Joseph Bouldersdorf from Woodbridge, Virginia. Thank you for joining us on the program.
Thank you, Kimberly.
Joseph, we had you on our radio program back in 2014, so we wanted to follow up with you close to 10 years later. But let's refresh for those that never heard your story. Why don't you tell us how you came to be in pain initially?
Yeah, I have a degenerative disease, cervical spine disease. I didn't realize it for many years. I just thought it was from jogging too much and poor posture in front of computers and typewriters back then. But as the condition worsened, it not only affected my neck, but it started to affect my arms and my hands. And I was losing strength in my hands and was in constant pain 24 hours a day.
I know what it's like to have problems that radiate down the arm and into the hands. You said it was causing some weakness. Did you ever drop anything, or you couldn't get a tight grasp on maybe what you needed to pick up or hold?
I did. When I couldn't pick things up, and it got to the point where I couldn't pick up a coffee mug without using both my hands because I didn't have the strength in my hands. And then the pain, of course, would shoot up my arms and across my shoulders and into my neck.
Did you get any reprieve while you slept, or did you have that kind of pain even then too?
I had the pain all the time, so it affected my sleep at night. And in fact, I developed chronic fatigue. I just couldn't get any rest.
Did you try conservative type treatments to remedy that problem before just seeking out surgery?
I did, yeah. In fact, I never thought surgery was going to be on the plate, so to speak. I went to chiropractors for years. It gave some temporary relief, usually the same day. And I went to physical therapists who did all kinds of stuff with me.
Yes.
There was physical therapists in the military when I was in the military, and they were trying some new machines, which I would equate to some torture devices from maybe the Middle Ages or something that just were excruciatingly painful, and nothing worked.
And so at that point, there you are in Virginia. How did you make your way from there to just north of the Tampa Bay area to hear about Bonati?
I actually did not hear about Bonati. My wife did, because when I told her I just couldn't take the pain anymore, and it was affecting my ability to even write and pick up things, I started going to spine specialists here in Virginia. Their words were, there is only one solution, and that is fusion, and you need 8 of them. That's what they told me based on the MRIs and everything. So I remember telling one of the doctors, I'll be a transformer if you do that to me. I won't be able to turn my head or anything.
Unbelievable. So evidently you made the right choice, and your wife got online and she was searching for places. You heard about that, said no. Take it from there.
She said, look, check this place out called Bonati, and they're not going to tell you fusion based on what I've read on their website. I went on Bonati's website. I saw the surgical procedure. I couldn't believe it. The person was awake when she was having the procedure and so forth. It said, hey, contact us. And so I did. I spoke with one of the staff members, and they said, send your MRI, most recent MRI down, and we'll have a surgeon contact you. I think it was probably the same day, at the most the next day after my MRI was received, I got a call, and we walked through the process. He told me what it would do, what the advantages were over fusion.
Were you antsy at all, even though you had heard from the surgeon that we could help? Were you still a little bit on edge?
No, I think at that point, it's like, I've got to do something.
We utilize something called conscious IV sedation. So you are sedated, but you are interacting during your surgery. They'll press on a nerve when they believe they're in the spot. They'll try to have you recreate that pain. And they do allow you to watch and or bring somebody into the OR with you. Now, what was that experience like for you?
It was absolutely awesome. I liked being able to be conscious and see the procedure, what was going on, and it was real time. What happens when I tap this here? Where do you feel that? Do you feel that in your fingers, in your thumb, in any part of your arm? And so we were having the conversation. I didn't have any pain at all. I mean, absolutely no pain at all. It was minimally intrusive, and I was up and walking about and taking 20-minute walks the first couple of days right after the surgery.
Now that you've been post-surgery for a while, how are you doing now?
I'm doing very well.
Not having to wear any braces, anything like that?
Nope, don't wear any braces. I have a trainer when I retired last year. I got a trainer at the gym, and there's nothing that I can't do in the gym in terms of whatever exercises he throws at me.
We're so thankful to hear that you are living your best life and that the excruciating pain is gone. Thank you so much. And thank goodness for your wife that she was able to research and find the Bonati Spine Institute so you weren't, kind of hardballed into an 8-level fusion surgery, which would have just been disastrous.
It would have been.
Thank you so much for being on the program. Thank you so much, Joseph Boldersdorf. If you want to find out if you're a candidate for the Bonati Spine Procedures, visit askbonati.com. And if you want to see other testimonials just like his, visit the Bonati Spine Institute page on YouTube.
I think everybody was shocked, like, really, you had surgery today? I had a drain tube. I was at my desk doing payroll for 200 employees, worked till night, got up, went to bed.
Actually, the recovery was great. I mean, I really immediately felt the difference. I was able to go back to work within a couple of days.
The progress after each procedure was amazingly good. The recovery, all told, has been phenomenal.
The recovery was pretty easy. I was able to walk around after surgery with no problem.
And when I got up off that table, it was like, like a reborn again when I was able to walk off that table and walk out and go for lunch. I went in there at 10 o'clock, got operated on. At 12 o'clock, I was walking out on my own.
We went to the Bonati Institute, and that was the turning point in my life. This type of surgery is so much more advanced, and the recovery time is so much less that it's just a no-brainer. If you've got pain, go to Bonati.
This is the honest to God truth. And was recovering, I didn't feel anything. The pain that I was suffering is gone. I can go back to work in like 3 days.
The surgeries that I had, actually, I recovered very easily from, I would say. I actually went to work the following afternoon.
That afternoon, when it was done, I actually felt so much better already.
6 days after surgery, I was back in the gym, slowly but surely working my way back to fighting, back to basically 100% of fighting, So 6 days, and everybody was in awe. Like, didn't you just get out of surgery? I'm like, yeah, I feel great. And like, okay, let's see how you do. And I was bowling with everybody, and I'm in the advanced class. So that sounds a lot right there.
First time I came in here was Monday, and today is Thursday. I've had 2 surgeries and am doing fantastic. I'm still in shock that I can walk. That's all within 4 days.
Bonati succeeds where others fail. Welcome back to American Medicine Today. So several states, including Florida, Alabama, and Arkansas, have all approved laws which would ban medical procedures for transgender youth. However, a growing number of federal judges are actually blocking those laws from taking effect. Joining us to discuss the importance of these actions is Ilan Srulovicz, filmmaker, entrepreneur, and CEO of Egard Watch Company. Thank you for joining us, Ilan.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
So first off, you're a business owner and a filmmaker. So how did you get involved in this whole transgender youth issue?
So my biggest platform is my watch company. And I noticed that there's a huge trend in other companies setting culture and shifting culture. And they're only doing it on one side, one narrative. And if you question it, you're canceled or you're challenged. Yeah. So I figured it would be good to show that other companies can stand up and put out these messages. And I wanted to do a counter message to everything going on in society today. I think we have to have a society that honors objective reality and objective truth. And once you allow that to decay, it gets very dangerous, as we see now.
Tell us a little bit about these bills that were passed, as Kimberly said, in 20 different states, which would effectively ban transgender youth from receiving treatments like puberty blockers and things of that nature, and also explain why federal judges are now blocking these measures and what that means.
So, I mean, you captured it pretty well. It's really about just protecting children. It's about not allowing children who can't even consent to getting a tattoo. They can't modify their body to get a tattoo, but they can go receive very, very serious treatments that will have lifetime altering effects that we don't even know the long-term effects of, because we have never done it on a mass scale like this or used it in this way. So it's very, very scary that it's happening. It's good that people were finally starting to speak out. And I believe that the federal judge is blocking it is because there's an ideological issue in this country right now where ideology takes precedent over reality. And it's almost like they're following a fundamentalist religion where they're willing to put aside what they need to do and just act as activists. I mean, we see it in many aspects of government nowadays, sadly.
But aren't these judges actually infringing on the rights, is it of the 14th Amendment, that equal protection clause?
The argument is that the parents have a right to do whatever medical procedure they believe is in the best benefit of their children. So, look, I believe it's unconstitutional. I believe doing anything to a child of that age that they cannot really be aware of the long-term effects of in the name of, making them better, especially with the mass shift that has happened, how quickly it has changed without even seeking alternative options. I mean, the system is heavily abused right now. So, yeah, it's disturbing.
Isn't it even going on in Sweden, where they used to be the leading area for transgenderism, and suddenly they realized the negative impacts that this was having on the individuals that were going through the procedures, and they immediately ceased every single transgender surgery. They're trying to promote it in the United States and grab our babies and have all these puberty blockers and the girls having their breasts chopped off in the name of transgenderism. It's honestly sick.
So if you look at the transgender ideology in general, it starts on the premise, and this is the big problem, that anyone who says they are whatever gender they choose to be is that gender. They're not even trans women. They are women, period, end of story. And that ideology has permeated society in a dangerous way. We have put men who have historically had issues abusing women. These are actual men who've been convicted of abusing women or sexually assaulting women in prison with women. That has happened.
Right.
We have taken men and put them in biological men and put them in women's shelters.
Yes.
We have taken men and they've now started overtaking women's spaces, beauty pageants. And now we're seeing it in the military where they're forcing women to shower with biological men. So people look at it as an isolated thing, like, oh, this is happening here. It's not a big deal. This is happening here. It's not a big deal. But a society that allows these things to happen is a society that has lost its mind in many ways. It's a complete denial of everything we've believed forever. I mean, it's something that children just fundamentally know, the binary of gender, of biological sex. So again, I mean, I'm just going to keep shouting it into the world, but I feel like in the United States, it's ideologically driven. The results don't matter. They don't care if it hurts kids.
Right.
They care that it suits their narrative.
If you really go to the simple biology, you know very well that the maturity of the sex really start after 14 years old. If you have estrogens in one side and you have testosterone on the other side, till one of those two hormones are going to become the main hormone, and that is Mother Nature who's going to do that change, you cannot go ahead and jump that time. If you tell me that somebody wants to be a man or wants to be a woman and it's not, but is 20 years old, so be it. But somebody who is 6 years old, that's criminal. And the physician who is doing that should lose his license because he knows better. And the important thing, and the important thing like this, if the judges are doing something like that, they should be also impeached. Society needs to work defending the rights. The major trouble that I see is society, as you say, is very sick. Mainly is tired of listening a lot of garbage in televisions and radios that they really are indoctrinating them in a wrong way. And we are going to pay really bad once the physician castrate somebody or deform somebody. The next thing that's going to happen in a few years, that person is going to mature. And when the maturity is going to come, it's going to realize the damage that they create. Yeah. And if it's a law that is going to defend them, it's going to be thousands of lawsuits. Mm-hmm. And if it is not, there are going to be suicides. For in one side and the other one, society is going to pay for this crime that is ignoring today and defending the weak and unprotecting the kids. This is shameful and at the same time dangerous, because if society is sick, we need to cure society. And to cure society, you need to start to cure the media, and you need to start to cure the information. And the legal system needs to wake up, needs to be responsible. And it's not happening anything of this thing today in the country.
There's a fundamental value system in the country, and that kids no longer feel like they have any value whatsoever unless they identify based on the modern day progressive scale of identity politics. And so being trans immediately makes you maybe more popular in school, makes you more popular with your parents. You start getting more attention from your parents. And so there's a certain degree of social engineering. I think we've taken gender dysphoria, and there's a whole new category that now exists, which is just social pressured kids who want to have value. And it comes from many things that he was just talking about. Media, Hollywood, the corporations putting out ads all the time, normalizing this and celebrating it. And so, again, I think that we have to look at what is going on in society, how to correct it. And I think he's absolutely right that we're going to see long-term repercussions of this. We're either going to see suicide or lawsuits and a lot of miserable people. And I think a lot of doctors know that. And a lot of doctors have started speaking up, but it's not having the impact it should have.
It's really sad. I shared a video with Ethan where there was a transgender, and they said that they didn't expect to live long enough to really get to know their grandkids because they kept getting infections like every month. And they said it seems like they just have a matter of months left to live. And thank you so much, Ilan Srulovicz, for being on the show.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ilan.
Thank you for joining us on American Medicine Today. If you have any comments or questions, contact us at the numbers below. Or you can tweet at Dr. Bonati using the hashtag American Medicine Today or hashtag AMT. We would like to hear from you.